Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unless you've been living under a rock, you know about these Arcade1Up cabinets. You either have one, you thought about buying one, your friend has one, or you visited my channel before. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now. So today, I want to go over what brought me to the dance and what got me buying Arcade1Up. And it's funny, I was thinking about this video. I was like, oh, I want to make this video because I've been feeling rather jaded lately, and that's going to be the second video. but this video here, I wanted to attack how I got to the dance. And it was funny because I saw UAG's short just a minute ago, and I go, that's exactly what I was thinking, you know? But I didn't want to do a short. I wanted to make a video. So I'm going to make the video. And it's funny that UAG and me had the same kind of feeling going on. But anyway, it goes back in time, right? We go back in time to 1998. I got a job over the summer working at Block Party, this arcade that's owned by Blockbuster. And if you didn't see the video of my time working at the Blockbuster arcade, which was a trial by Blockbuster Video, there's only two of them, and I was one of them. The videos on my channel, I'll try to put the link in the description down below in case you want to watch it and hear my story working at the Blockbuster arcade. However, after hours, we're there at Blockbuster arcade, Block Party, and one of the game techs asked me to play some games. And of course, he has the keys to the machine, he can press the button inside the machine, and we can get all sorts of credits, right? So the machine he takes me to is X-Men versus Street Fighter. I didn't even know this game existed. Probably because, you know, I was off doing something else, or I was busy playing other games, and so I saw it, and that game for me was love at first sight. Because it had the X-Men, which were huge in the 90s. It looked very cartoonish, just like Street Fighter Alpha, which I did play, funny enough. I played Street Fighter Alpha, but I didn't know about X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And it had, obviously, the Street Fighter characters. And so, for me, it was like the perfect match. This is like the dream game for me, okay? And I remember beating him pretty handedly, but it was just based off my knowledge of Street Fighter 2, because I played Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo for so long. I had all the Super Nintendo versions. I had one of the versions for Sega Genesis, and I originally played Street Fighter 2 in an arcade in not Nashville, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, on a vacation, probably in 1992 when it first came out. I played the World Warrior because I looked for that arcade. I wanted to play it because the EGM hyped it up. Anyway, so I really love this game. I ended up doing some research on the game, found out that I could import it from Japan for the Sega Saturn, went to Funkoland, bought a Sega Saturn, bought the Sega Saturn arcade sticks, and then found a magazine that had like a phone number you could call and order the games and the RAM cartridge that you needed, because you had to have a 4 meg RAM cart. And you had to get a key to unlock the Saturn to play Japanese games. But what was funny is since you had 2 cartridges, you had to put that RAM cartridge, or no, the unlock cartridge first, and then right when the Sega logo or something like that happened, you had to have perfect timing, pull that cartridge out, slam down the RAM cartridge, and then the game would start. And if you didn't do it right, which was most of the time, unless you got really good at it, then the game wouldn't run. But when it did run, you got your arcade perfect X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and later Marvel vs. Street Fighter as well, because that was also available for the Japanese Saturn, and I had both of them. So I love that game. I had those, and then eventually I had Marvel vs. Capcom for the Dreamcast, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the Dreamcast and the PS2. I remember when I was in college, I went to the college dorm, not the dorm, but I left the dorm, walked over to the Student Union. They had a small little arcade, and in there they had Marvel vs. Capcom 1, which I would challenge people at, as well as Street Fighter 3. I think originally it was Double Impact, and then it was Third Strike. I don't know. Might have just been Third Strike. But I play those games, and eventually the Marvel Capcom 1 turned into Marvel Capcom 2. And so that's my story with those games. I really wasn't an arcade rep, but I did work at an arcade because I liked games and that sort of thing. And I worked there off and on for, you know, a good handful of years. And so, anyway. So I think it was 2013, I guess they re-released the Versus series on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Funny enough, I had an Xbox 360 for a short period of time. I don't remember the exact date I sold it, but I never had those games because I think it was 2009. my daughter was born, and so I was in a relationship with somebody with addiction issues, and we had 2 kids, and I ended up taking care of the kids. And, you know, I spent all my time going to work and babysitting and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I was so busy, and money was an issue. You know, we had to get our first house and like all that sort of things. So I didn't play any video games for a good 10, 15 years, which is kind of a sad story. So when people say, oh, well, Steps is getting better. Well, problem is Steps didn't play games for a long time. Steps didn't play games for a long time. And that period of my life is kind of very dark, even though I had these 2 wonderful kids, you know. So anyway, so we're getting to the story. I didn't play it. Oh, I played it on iOS because I did get it on my iPhone 4. And I had Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on that. But that's not the same. It doesn't count because you don't really want to play that with a touchscreen, right? And I played some Nintendo games because, you know, kids and that sort of thing, but I didn't get to really play any adult games. I think I had bought Ultimate Marvel vs. 3 or just Marvel. Yeah, it was Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It might have been the first version for the 360, but I didn't get a chance to really enjoy the game. I think I got to play it once. It's just time, you know, things like that. So anyway, back on track here. So I couldn't get the game anymore by the time I started playing games again, which is around 2020, and maybe a little bit before that, 2018 maybe. And I couldn't get the game, and I wanted the game, and I had this feeling that Arcade1Up would get it. And I'll show you this tweet I made before it came out. I'll put it up in the corner. But anyway, I promised myself I wouldn't buy an Arcade1Up until they made X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Now, I had seen this the first batch. I wasn't that impressed with them, but then I saw the Ninja Turtles. I thought these are getting better. I wanted the Ninja Turtles pretty bad, but I was like, I don't have much space. I need to wait for this Marvel vs. Capcom. X-Men vs. Street Fighter is what I want, right? It was really X-Men vs. Street Fighter. But I finally saw it announced. It was in the summertime. Maybe summer of 2020 they announced it, and I saw that the Marvel vs. Capcom one had X-Men vs. Street Fighter on it and Marvel vs. Street Fighter on it. So that was the one I wanted, right? And it was also available at Best Buy, so I pre-ordered it the second I could. I was probably one of the first people to order it, and it did sell out from what I remember. But I was not the first person to get it because they shipped it out and then it just disappeared magically. I never received it. I don't know if somebody took it or what, but I ended up getting it like a month or 2 later. And in the meanwhile, I saw Footy Last videos, and I don't know if I got into Discord, just the Facebook group, whatever. I started meeting people that were playing the cabinet, and you find out there's online play and all this cool stuff. And originally I was going to buy it whether I had online play or not. I just wanted X-Men vs. Street Fighter. I didn't care. But then when you get that and you're spoiled with that and you have that and it's like your dream, you expect everything else to have it. So, and I don't know if that was something Arcade1Up expected or not, but I'm so glad they put it in that first Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet, and that we're seeing it, you know, in future cabinets. But I didn't know it'd be so hard to keep implementing, because 2 years later it's still not really implemented the correct way in all these cabinets. Anyway, I just was amazed by it. I thought it was so cool, and I got that experience I wanted playing those games I wanted, and I had friends that also enjoyed the game like I did, because I didn't know anybody that did. And also, you know, I didn't have too many friends. I've been through a separation, you know, I had kids, you know, other things in my life, and so it was cool to meet people, make friends, have a common ground on this game. And then along came Rev and his show, and I started doing the promos and all that kind of thing. I had so much fun, and then I didn't want to miss out. So as soon as he said, oh, we're going to do the Big Blue, well, hell, I wanted a Big Blue, right? I wanted to be able to keep playing with my friends. And then the whole Killer Instinct happened, and it's almost like the Killer Instinct not have a spectate mode originally is kind of what kind of caused a little bit of a dive. But anyway, regardless, it has it now. It's amazing, and I still enjoy playing these games. Now, I just wanted to talk about like how I got into this, why I, you know, started collecting Arcade1Up, that sort of thing. I did buy Ninja Turtles cab eventually. I bought it after I got Marvel Capcom 1. I got it from a liquidator, and I repaired it, fixed it, and I started doing arcade mods, you know, changed all my buttons and sticks on the Marvel Capcom, that sort of thing. And you know, I just learned about this community, learned about things, started making the videos of the promos, and then once that ended, because Rev canceled the promos, and then Rev's show kind of ended for whatever reason, we won't get into that. I didn't want that feeling anymore. I didn't want the feeling that I was missing out. I didn't want that feeling that somebody took something I enjoyed away from me. And so I started making videos on this channel that I already had. It was a channel I just kind of made a few videos on with my kids. I really wasn't doing much with it, and so here I am. Now it's kind of like my main focus of my channels. I have a whole bunch of channels, but this is the one that I've been learning the most from. And this is how I got into that. And this is how I got back into games after being gone for a good 15 years. And why you see me learning a lot of things that maybe I should have already known. I'm not totally new. It's just I disappeared. You know, I had other things in my life that took precedence over that. And some dark times, some happy times, you know, lots of stuff like that, just like everyone else has in life. And so here I am. That's why I started buying Arcade1Up. And part 2 is going to be a little bit different of a story. I'm going to make a part 2 that's coming up next. And then you're going to see some new content from me as well. Some totally new content from me that I'm really looking forward to. Looking forward to some changes. And I'm about to announce some more Arcade1Up tournaments, though, that are still going to be on my channel. So I'm excited about those. I'm excited about the future of Steps Gaming and switching things up a little bit as well. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment down below. Tell me your story about how you started with Arcade1Up. What was your first cab? How you started buying more? Whatever. Just let your heart go. Write me a comment. I'll try to answer them all. And then, of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And I thank you all. It's always an honor and privilege to have anyone watch my stream. And I will see you in the next one.